Greetings everyone, my name is Greg. In this video I am going to talk about the piss poor parenting skills of God, aka Cain and Abel. Now this is a very short little story that is exceptionally lacking in any real detail. It leaves a lot to be read into. That's the first problem with this. From a literary standpoint, this wouldn't even qualify for introducing characters and setting a scene. However, there's a lot of bullshit that people read into this. Like you see with the picture, the idea that what Abel offered is in any way related to Jesus. It's not. You can't get that from the text. That is a case of people reading into this bullshit what they want, what fits their narrative. And that is something I don't do. Don't hand me this bullshit of it's a matter of interpretation. No. When you're reading into it that much, you're rewriting the story to fit your agenda. You're not going by what is there. And in this regard, I'm a prick when it comes to actual details as far as what is there. This is extremely short, so we're just going to go through Genesis 4, starting of Genesis 4:1, where these characters are introduced. Genesis 4:1. And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. Verse 2. She again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was the keeper of the sheep, but Cain the tiller of the ground. I'm going to pause there and point out, Abel was basically a ranch hand. He was raising cattle. Whereas Cain was a farmer. He grew crops. Verse 3. In the process of time it came to pass that Cain brought the fruit of the ground as an offering to the Lord. Verse 4. And Abel, he also brought the firstlings of his flock, and the fat thereof, and the Lord had respect unto Abel and his offering, but unto Cain and his offering he had no respect, and Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. I'm going to pause for a minute there and just ask you, if you had your parents, whoever your parents are, if you had a brother, and both of you gave your parents a gift, something that was reflective of you, and they would have respect for your brother's gift, but for yours, they would have none. And they would give you no reason for their attitude. Wouldn't you be pissed? Wouldn't you be extremely irate? Verse 6. And the Lord said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth? Why is thy countenance fallen? Are you really that fucking stupid? I'm having a hard time believing that this is a God. To be this motherfucking stupid. To be this oblivious to basic human emotion. To basic people's feelings. To be this oblivious takes a special kind of stupid. Verse 7. If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? If thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. There's a problem with this idea of sin lying at the door. The big reason being, The law hasn't been outlined. There has been no mention of what is accepted, what is not, what is good, what is bad. There is nothing. This God is extremely vague in what it wants and what it doesn't want, what it likes and what it doesn't like. There is no mention that's only 7 verses, but there is no mention in any of this where the God said, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is what you have to do for me to be happy with something, this is what would piss me off. It gave no mention of anything. And yet, it is wanting to act like, if you do well, shall it not be accepted? Apparently not. Because there is nothing in the one verse, verse 5, where it says, but unto Cain and his offering he had no respect. Why? Why is this God being such an asshole? Why is this God being so blatantly disrespectful to Cain? What did Cain do to deserve this God acting like a fucking ass? Verse 8. And Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel his brother, and slew him. Now there are multiple versions of art that are meant to depict this. This first one that you see, you notice neither of them are wearing fucking clothes, which I would kind of fucking wonder why, given the fact that Adam and Eve sewed fig leaves on each other because they knew they were naked. Why the fuck would Cain and Abel be naked? But that's basically artist rendering, I get that. But then in this one, they're wearing something over themselves. Be that as it may. And you notice the weapon that Cain uses is different in the different depictions. That one is really fucking stupid because, again, they're fucking naked again. And you have the bullshit with, I guess it's supposed to be Satan and whatnot, which, again, is bullshit. It's not fitting with what is actually in the goddamn story. But the weapon is different with pretty much all of them. The thing is, getting back to this bit of bullshit, then we have this God displaying his ignorance. If this is an all-knowing God, it plays dumb real well. And the Lord said unto Cain, where is thy brother Abel? And he said unto him, I know not, am I my brother's keeper? Verse 10. And he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother crieth out, the voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. Wait a minute. Time the fuck out. If the blood of Abel is crying out to him from the ground, why did he come to him in verse 9 and say, where is thy brother Abel? Why ask a question you already know the answer to? Makes no sense. And furthermore, this God set this whole thing up. All of this is the fault of the God. Because he had the ability to change all of this shit by having his attitude different up here in verse 5. He did not treat them equally. He was choosing one over the other and then basically setting up a conflict between the two, knowing what would happen, and then apparently being pissed off that what he knew would happen happened, which really raises the question for me of, And we're supposed to believe that Cain was the asshole here. I'm sorry, I don't see where Cain was an asshole. Yes, he did kill his brother, and that is something, personally, I wouldn't have gone to that route. I would have been more to get into God's face and be, what the fuck are you? What the fuck's wrong with you? And to be pissed off at the God, I wouldn't take it out on my brother, type of thing. Then in verse 11, and now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. Verse 12, when thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond you shall be in the earth. Now, there's a problem with this. Because if you take that literally, basically this God is telling this Cain, who is a farmer, that your crops will no longer grow. And if your crops don't grow, you're going to starve. It doesn't say that you're going to have a small crop. It's saying, when thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond you shall be in the earth. Well, you're basically telling him he's going to starve to death. Because if he's a farmer and he's going to be, any crops that he tries to grow, they're not going to grow, then he's not going to have anything to eat, hence he's going to starve. So it makes the statement Cain makes in verse 13 makes sense. Cain said unto the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Yes, because if he's not going to be able to grow food, he's not going to be able to eat, he's going to fucking starve to death. Where is this justice? And then it makes a statement that doesn't fit the text at all, because bear in mind, prior to Genesis 4:1, there is no mention of anyone else. These are the first kids that Adam and Eve supposedly had. So who the fuck else was around for this statement to make any goddamn sense? Behold, thou hast driven me out of this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. It shall come to pass that every one that findeth me shall slay me. Who the fuck is around? This is what I mean by the Bible is so moronically written. There is no mention of anyone else. The only other people in the goddamn story that exist at this time is Adam and Eve. Now, granted, I think they would be a bit pissed off at what he did, but I think they would also have been pissed off at the God for being such a fucking dick in the first place. The thing is, this leads into Cain getting his wife from the land of Nod, which raises the fucking question, where the fuck did she come from? As far as fiction is concerned, this wouldn't even get past an editor. This would be tossed back and it would be, you need more fucking detail in this. This makes no goddamn sense. Why is this happening? What is the backstory behind this? Where is everyone else? Where did they come from? You're leaving out so many details. You cannot have an intelligent story, or a story that anyone can draw anything from other than this God is a fucking dick that doesn't give standards as to what it likes, what it doesn't like, what it accepts, what it doesn't, what the rules are. None of it. But yet it wants to dish out curses left and right. it really raises the question in my mind, why the fuck would anybody want to go along with a character that is so oblivious to basic human emotions, that is so oblivious to common fucking sense? Obviously, this God does not go by the adage that parents do of it's the thought that counts. I mentioned this to my girlfriend, and she was, that's a human adage, and I was like, yes, I get that. But apparently, this God doesn't even have the decency or the brain power to realize what any good parent does. One of, it's the thought that counts. That mindset, that thought right there could have avoided all of this shit. It further makes me just kind of facepalm and this is supposed to be a God that I'm looking at as anything other than a total fucking asshole? I don't think so. But feel free to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Later, people.